Yo yo, it's Grim here. Yeah, I've got a pretty interesting deck on. It's really fun. Uh, I've got eldlich Trap Monster. So we had like some new stuff come out on and off, which are like new trap monsters and stuff to support trap monsters. Um, of course, it's not really like a good deck or anything. They're very sensitive, but just honestly a lot of fun. And I think that eldlich kind of course, because they have their own trap monsters, go really well with the deck. At some point, I'd like them to try and make a more pure version of Trap Monsters, but at the moment, this is a version I've come up with that is quite fun. It does play at least, but I guess it relies a bit more on floodgates and going second. You don't really do too much, but you can still play a little bit. But yeah, to start off, it's just triple Golden Lords. Might trigger some people with the random hug one and the two serious ones, but yeah, I decided to run three of them. I do end up using like all three of them. I find a lot of times. Um, you can use two if you want. I just prefer having the third in the deck. You could use two. A lot of times you're only ever getting two on board, but I like the option of having that third one to potentially just be in my hand if I draw into it or search a valid land. So I definitely like three of him. I run two Pharaonic Advent. So this is one of the cards. It's not exactly new, but people don't really like know what it does, or it's just considered like a really bad card. Probably because it's very slow. Um, but it's just like attributes a monster, special itself from its hand, and then you contribute either a fairy, fiend, reptile, and add a continuous trap from your deck to your hand, but you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn. So in a sense, it can just search anything you want, basically like any continuous trap. It's really cool. Gains 300 attack as well for each continuous trap on the field and the grave, so you can come quite big. It's a bit inconsistent because you have to get another monster on your board. That's why I only run two of them, but it is a decent card. Then I run triple Cordon, so he's quite nice. He's like Recycler a little bit. So when he's normal summoned, he's set to continuous trap from your hand or grave. It can be activated this turn, and then his other effect, if he's sent to grave, you can activate it, and then until the end of the next turn, your face-up traps can't be destroyed by card effects. The plus side of him, for example, is like you could normal him, effect set a normal trap, well, a trap monster, sorry, activate summon the trap monster, tribute the trap monster for him, and then use his effect to tribute the Cordon to search. Or you could like use his effect, for example, set an anti-spell, and then use anti-spell in your first turn. And that way, your opponent can't respond to cyclones or any type of quick play spell card to get them playing the game. So he's quite cool though. That's the only monsters I used though. It's 8 monsters and I still managed to draw like 3 in hand. And then I run for spells 2 Eldland. You definitely only want 2 of this. It's so bricky. I have 2 and I see 2 of them all the time and it's just horrific. But it's nice to see one of it. It's really great. You want to see one. Like it searches your stuff. It forced burial stuff as well. It's just at the end of the day, a lot of times you search once of it and then it goes as fodder for your Golden Lord. It is a good card, but the traps themselves recycle enough, so it's really just a searcher for Golden Lord. Sanguine can get him out of deck, so it's helpful, but it's definitely not a 3 of. Triple X Jav, you don't really care too much about the X deck, and you like drawing 2 cards. You could use Prosper if you wanted to dig, but the extra card I find is much more important in this deck than finding a specific card. And then on to traps, because that's all I run for spells. For the eldlich stuff, it's pretty much maxed out on the traps, which is triple conk, triple whack, and then triple sanguine. So yeah, I decided. I mean, you could probably bump this down to 2. I find, but because the trap monsters themselves have synergy with the actual deck, I decided to max out on them and just keep searching them, making sure I have them. By themselves, without Golden Lord, they're not very good. With the actual like Statue of Anguish pattern, or if you've got like an Apophis, they're pretty decent. But yeah, I definitely maxed out on them. I enjoyed having all these three of each. Hokraya was the only one I might consider putting down to two, but otherwise the rest of it was fine. And then onto the actual trap monster engine I use. I use triple Anguish Pound. So this is your best one basically. Which is you can't be tied by card effects. You have another trap card that is a monster. And then if a trap card is special summoned to your as a monster basically to your field, you target a card your opponent controls and destroys it. So he's just a pop. It's cool because he's not once per turn. So you could just example, you could activate him in standby phase, summon him, and then use a Hequero, summon a Hequero, affected this on resolution, pop. Conquistador, summon Conquistador on resolution, effect, pop. So yeah, it pops stuff. It's really good, honestly. Like people don't really expect it, but then when you realize your entire back row is trap monsters and you can just pop 4 cards, it's pretty cool. The only problem with it as well is like Galaxy Cyclone is a very helpful card because you can just cyclone your monsters or feather dusters and stuff. Coordin is a little bit of protection, but it's you have to get them to grave first turn and open like a decent hand. It's asking for a lot. Triple Apophis. This is great. I was running it at 2, and I was running 1 Tiki Soul, but I've took the Tiki Soul out and put my third one of this in. This is great. So it special summons itself as a normal monster. It's got 2k attack and 2/2 defense, so it's got decent stats, level 6. The main thing about it is you activate it, you summon it as a monster card, then you can negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of other continuous traps you control until the end of its turn. What's really great about this is you can chain into the activation of like normal spells or normal traps, and then negate their effects because it negates face-up cards. Doesn't target either, which is great. So you can just activate it if your opponent gets scared, they chain something. On resolution, you can negate whatever new thing they summoned. It's just a really fantastic card. And then I run 2 Angel. 18/18, level 4 light. She's a fairy. She can negate inherit summons by tributing trap monsters, basically. So it's kind of cool. Sometimes people don't see it, and you can negate like an XYZ summon of like a Zeus or something like that. Like 2 is a nice amount. She's not like a super key card. And then my one-ofs are Abyss, Stingray, and Space Dragster. So Stingray is really nice to stall out on because you can't be sure of battle. But apart from that, that's pretty much all he is. He's a 19 attack as well, 0 defense. He's got decent attack, but he's nothing like special. He's level 5 as well, which is kind of nice. This is a level 1 tuner. I run Psychic End Punisher in my X deck because this and a Golden Lord you can summon Psychic End from. So that's like the only reason I run this. You could take this out for another Abyss Stingray if you didn't want to have the option to go into Pep. I just find Pep wins games sometimes. And then for like Floodgate traps, it's triple skill drain and double anti-spell. Yeah, skill drain win games. You can play under it fairly well. And then anti-spell, again, you don't want to run 3 of it. It's really horrible opening multiple anti-spells. The same can be said with skill drain, but it's such an impactful card, I find. Anti-spell is a great card, but unless you're coordinate setting it in your first 10 and using it, people can still kind of respond to it and like pop it. Whereas with skill drain, it's harder to get rid of because you only need spell trap removal. You can't really use monster removal unless you like use like Infernoid and your chain and tribute your Deviati's cost when it uses its effect. But like in those scenarios, that's ways to out it. But I definitely prefer those ratios. And then triple imp, like the only hand trap basically. You could flex this out if you want. You could run nibs, you could run ash blossoms. I just opted for this because I was using traps mostly. And I like imperm in my turn as well if I'm going second. Then onto extra deck. So for XYZ is I run 1 Typhon. So my extra deck isn't like multiples of stuff regardless of extravagance. We do run multiples of some little bits which I find more key. But I also only own one Typhon. So I think at some point, if I wanted to stop playing as many random targets, my extra could probably be triple Typhon. Just because like you can feel that you just keep slamming it down when your opponent's trying to play through stuff. Just really good card, Typhon. So run one Typhon and then one Leeb with two Gustav. Leeb's not like crazy important, it's just helpful. And then Gustavs are really nice, they really help kill. So I run two of this and then one of this. If this gets banished, doesn't matter too much. You want to keep one of these at least though. One Pleiades and one Shark Fortress as my rank 5s. So usually it would be two Pleiades, but I decided to opt for the Shark Fortress to have the option. So this is like nice bouncer stuff in either player's turn. Generally just a really good card. This really helps for OTKing. You can target 35 gold and Lord and he attacks twice. And Shark Fortress can attack as well. So really good card. For links, I run one Underworld Goddess. It is quite easy to spam your board with monsters. And sometimes there are problem monsters, and this is a really nice card to out that card. One access code, you can climb into this quite well, honestly. I mean, if you're not playing under skill drain yourself, it isn't too hard for the trap monsters to climb. One BLS Soldier of Chaos. Eldlich is a big boy, so you can link into him with Eldlich and he gets his effects. Again, 3 different ones with different names, pretty easy in this. One Unicorn, it's just removal, it's a good card. One Selene, your guy is a spellcaster, Pharaonic Advent. He's a spellcaster, so you can revive him from the Selene, which makes her a lot better for the access code climb. I think if he wasn't in the deck, I probably wouldn't use this because you'd have no targets to revive. It'd just be like another link to. One Elsa, just great, yeah. Got quite a few earth targets in your deck. I run Link Spiders as well, which are these two. So I run 2 of these because you go into these a fair bit with the normal traps monsters. So it's just nice having that option to get into them to go into the Elsa with the Link Spider. But yeah, to run them, and then I run 1 Peppers. It's the only synchro. Again, with the X deck though, you can kind of just play around with it, do what you want, throw what you want in. Run triple Pleiades, triple Typhon. You can run some Zeuses if you wanted to. It's very much just like play around with what you want. I think with the trap monsters, links are really nice. Having the option to link into different things is really nice for them. So I think in a more pure version, it'd probably be heavy links rather than like the Gustavs and the Liebs and stuff. But I've yet to consider making a pure version of it. But yeah, that was a eldlich trap monster. Just a really cool deck. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. If you enjoy eldlich, even though a lot of the playstyle of eldlich is just floodgates usually, but it's a much more interactive way I find to play the deck, and definitely a lot of fun. There's a lot of people who like the trap monster sort of gimmick, but it's hard to play because trap monsters just are not that good. But this is a nice version. It's definitely fun. I definitely enjoyed playing it quite a lot. It's very rare, though, to be fair, I find decks I don't enjoy playing, but there are some that I don't enjoy playing. But yeah, this is definitely a nice one. If there's any suggestions or anything towards them, there's some cards I've probably missed that are trap monsters or assist them in some way. But yeah, anyway, see ya.